Welcome to this explainer. Look, right out of the gate, we are going to completely absolve you of your financial guilt. Seriously, if you've ever looked at your bank account and thought, why can't I just be better with my money? You're in exactly the right place. Today, we're putting your brain under the microscope to uncover the hidden biology behind our spending habits.
I really want to start by asking you a simple question. Why does managing money feel so incredibly painful? If you constantly feel defeated by an inability to stick to a budget, or you keep caving to those impulse purchases you instantly regret, you probably carry around a lot of shame. We're always taught that financial struggles are a sign of weak willpower or a bad character, but the science actually tells a completely different story.
So let's dive into this. Your bad money decisions are not a personal failing. It is truly not your fault. You are literally, biologically hardwired to fail at modern personal finance. What you're experiencing isn't a lack of discipline, it's a profound evolutionary mismatch. We are trying to navigate a highly engineered, digital financial world using a brain that evolved just to survive in the wilderness.
Let's start by looking at what we can call the caveman savings problem, and why our brains fundamentally hate the future.
To understand why saving feels practically impossible, we have to look at the hidden antagonist in our financial lives, which is our own evolutionary biology. For our caveman ancestors, the whole concept of a long-term future didn't really exist, right? Immediate gratification, like eating a high-calorie meal right this second, meant survival. And that evolutionary baggage leaves us with a modern glitch in our operating system called hyperbolic discounting. It's basically the tendency to choose immediate, smaller rewards over much larger future ones because of something called temporal myopia. In simple terms, we are nearsighted when it comes to time. We can't effectively evaluate the future, so our brains just prioritize the sure thing right in front of us.
The data on this is wild. Back in 1981, economist Richard Thaler conducted a fascinating study on how we discount the future. His data showed that we apply a massive 277% discount rate to a reward just because we have to wait 3 months for it. To put that in perspective, a perfectly rational economic machine would discount future value at a steady, low rate. But our brains? We drastically devalue anything that isn't happening right this very second.
Let's look at exactly how Thaler proved this. He gave participants a simple choice: take $15 right now or wait 3 years and get $100. When dealing with the short term, people were wildly impatient. But here's the fascinating twist. When choices were pushed further out into the future, say choosing between a reward in 4 years versus 6 years, people suddenly became highly patient. The discount rate plummeted to 63%. This proves we totally suffer from temporal myopia. We value right now so intensely that we happily sabotage our future selves, completely blind to the massive benefits of long-term planning.
Okay, so how does this play out in the real world? Let's look at your brain on shopping and the actual biological tug-of-war going on inside your head.
We can literally look under the hood thanks to a 2007 fMRI brain scan study that fundamentally changed how we understand consumer behavior. The big takeaway is that shopping is not a logical equation, it's a literal neurological battle. Researchers put people in a scanner, gave them real money, and showed them products and prices. They found that looking at a product you want activates the nucleus accumbens, your brain's pleasure and anticipation center. But looking at an excessive price activates the insula. And here is why that is so critical. The insula is the exact same brain region that processes literal, physical pain and disgust. When you hand over physical cash, your brain registers actual physical distress.
This brilliantly illustrates the trap we fall into. As neuroendocrinologist Robert Sapolsky points out, dopamine is the molecule of the chase. It peaks during browsing, not after buying. We mistakenly think that owning the item will make us happy, but the chemical reward in your brain actually hits its absolute maximum before you make the purchase, while you're still anticipating it. Once you finally buy the item, the dopamine plummets. This is exactly why retail therapy leaves you feeling empty just a few hours later.
The implications of this brain activity are honestly astonishing. The researchers running that fMRI study could predict whether a participant was going to purchase an item before the person even clicked a button to make a conscious choice. They simply watched the brain scan to see which region won the tug-of-war. If the pleasure of anticipation out-activated the literal pain of paying, the purchase was guaranteed. You are basically just a spectator to your own biology.
Which brings us to the ultimate modern trap: the credit card anesthetic, and how it completely bypasses the pain of paying.
Think about it. If parting with cash causes physical pain, and that pain is our natural biological brake pedal, what happens when we remove it entirely? Well, the financial industry hasn't just given us convenient plastic, they've mastered something called payment decoupling. This is separating the pleasure of getting an item from the immediate pain of paying for it. Credit cards act as a highly effective emotional anesthetic. By allowing you to tap a card or double-click a smartphone, you completely bypass the insula's natural spending brakes. You get all the dopamine of the chase with absolutely none of the immediate biological pain.
The behavioral impact of this anesthetic is just staggering. Look at this famous MIT experiment. Researchers held a real auction for highly sought-after, sold-out Boston Celtics tickets among MBA students. The catch? Half the room was told they had to pay in physical cash if they won. The other half were allowed to use a credit card. The cash group bid an average of $28.51. The credit card group bid $60.57 for the exact same tickets. Simply changing the payment method caused people to value the item at more than double the price.
But it actually gets worse. For a long time, scientists thought credit cards just took the brakes off by dulling the pain. However, a 2021 brain scan study revealed something much more aggressive. Credit cards actively step on the gas in your brain's reward center. Just seeing a credit card logo triggers a massive surge of activation in the striatum, massively accelerating your motivation to spend money. When your brain sees that plastic, it actually stops caring about the price and just zeroes in entirely on the reward.
This all ties into how our brains categorize money based on how physical it is. It's often called the monopoly money effect. Abstraction totally alters our behavior. If you give someone a gift card, they spend it easily, like Monopoly money, because it feels abstract. But researchers found this amazing hack. If you force a participant to hold that same gift card in their physical wallet for just 1 hour, the brain suddenly shifts. After 60 minutes, the brain begins to treat that abstract piece of plastic as real, protected cash, and they become highly reluctant to spend it.
So what do we do about all this? Let's look at the zero willpower fix. We need systems that don't rely on self-control. If willpower is a myth, if our brains are biologically rigged to discount the future, and modern finance is actively bypassing our pain receptors, how do we possibly win? Because our biology is flawed, we have to use structural solutions. The most famous example is the Save More Tomorrow program, designed by behavioral economists. It works in 3 beautifully simple steps. Step 1. Employees pre-commit to allocating a portion of their future pay raises to retirement. Step 2. Because it comes out of a future raise, they never see a drop in their current take-home pay. Step 3. It happens automatically. This perfectly bypasses our present bias because the saving happens tomorrow. And it bypasses our aversion to loss because our current paycheck never shrinks.
And the results of this structural fix are incredible. Because it required absolutely zero daily self-control, the average savings rate for participants in this real-world corporate program skyrocketed from a measly 3.5% to an astonishing 13.6% in just 40 months. That is a nearly 4-fold increase in savings, all because they stopped fighting their biology and started designing around it. And what's even better, the program wasn't just effective, it was universally adopted. When offered, 78% of workers joined the plan right away, and 80% of them stayed in it through 4 consecutive annual pay raises. Why? Because the friction to save was removed entirely, while the friction to stop saving was increased. They flipped the biological script in their favor.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. Your bad money habits aren't a character flaw, they are a system flaw. You are fighting millions of years of evolutionary wiring with every single tap of your credit card. So stop relying on willpower. What zero willpower systems can you set up today to protect your future self? Can you automate your savings? Can you delete your saved credit cards from your web browser to add a physical delay to your shopping? Acknowledge your biological mismatch, change your environment, and finally, let yourself off the hook.